Hello everyone, welcome to the next video in the AZ-300 series. And in today's video we are going to start next module in the series, which is create and configure storage account. Well, we have already shared the syllabus in the previous videos, and if you see, this module of ours has been completed and we are going to talk about the next module in the syllabus. And in today's video we are going to talk about the storage account, create and configure, and also configure network access to the storage account. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and understand storage account. So the very first thing that come into your mind when you talk about the storage account, what it is. Well, it is a service which is provided by Azure so that you can store your data objects. All right, it is you can think it like a container where you can drop your data objects, you can upload your data objects, and you can access whenever you need. All right, so let's understand what all kind of data objects we can store in the Azure storage account. All right, let's go to the next slide and see what all we have. We have types of data objects. We have blobs, we have files, tables, and queues. There are four types of data objects that we can store in the Azure storage account. Blob is binary large objects, and it's of three kinds: block blob, append blob, and page blobs. Block blob is unstructured data, uh, and this is made up of blocks of data that can be managed individually up to 4.7 TBs, terabytes. It stores text and binary data. Append blob is actually a black block blob. It is a tongue twister. All right, but we use append blobs for append attribute so that it will not override, but it would append whatever it is writing or adding. The most common example of append blobs is logs. Logs, because we don't want them to override, we want them to append. Then we have page blobs. This is for random access files up to 8 TB in size. Page blobs store virtual hard drive files and serve as disks for Azure Virtual Machine. All right, so I hope it makes sense, but to make it more clear, let's try to picture a storage account. Once you create the storage account, you create a container. If we talk about the page blobs, we have a VHD container, it's just a name, and under the VHD container we have a page blob of VHD file, which is the disk of a virtual machine. All right, and if we talk about the block and append blobs, it would be more like you go to the storage account, you click on the blob, you click on the container, and you upload the objects, the data objects. If it can be append, it would be append blobs that we use for the logging operations, and otherwise whatever block of data we upload to the blobs, it would be block blob. Hope it makes sense. All right, let's go to the files. This is for Azure File Share, which is fully managed file share in the cloud that are accessible through the industry standard SMB protocol. Azure file shares can be mounted concurrently by cloud or on-premises deployments, Windows, Linux, and macOS. It is exactly like a network share that we used to, attach like a drive on the machines or the VM, like a E drive or any other drive as a network location or network share. It would act exactly like that and work on SMB protocol. We will talk about files and other data objects like tables and queue in future videos for sure. But this is all about the Azure storage account to understand it better. So that's what the Azure file is. And the next one is Azure Tables. Azure Table storage stores large amounts of structured data. The service this service is a NoSQL data store which accepts authenticated calls from inside and outside the Azure cloud. And this is ideal for storing structured non-relational data. All right, the data that we store in form of tables, if that makes sense. All right, let's talk about the queue. Queue storage service enables storing a large number of messages that can be accessed from anywhere through authenticated calls. Queue is more like a messaging service, like we have service bus, but it has Azure Queue has their own attributes and or limitations that we will discuss in the future. But for now, we have these four kind of data that we store in the Azure storage account. Now, Azure storage account has certain attributes that we need to understand, because on behalf of these attributes, an architect designed the storage account for the requirement. And these attributes decides the pricing model of storage account. Apart from these attributes in pricing model, a location is also included, like where actually you are storing your data, in which region. So let's understand these four attributes: account kind, performance tiers, access tiers, and replication. Well, we have three type of account kinds right now: general purpose v2, general purpose v1, and blob. General purpose v1 and blob were the old one, and v2 is the new one. General purpose v1 is actually a classic, and blob, it is also legacy blob, only storage account. And it is recommended to use general purpose v2 instead blob storage account whenever possible. All right, and general purpose v2 has all the attributes that belongs to v1 plus more. All right, so it's just the account kind, because if you choose v2 we would have a different tiers. If you choose v1 we would have a different attributes. Same goes for the blob. If it make more sense, if you choose general purpose v1 you would not have this attribute. So if you need access tiers in your storage account, you gotta choose general purpose v2 or blob. All right, next come to the performance tier. Performance tiers, we have standard and premium. As the name says, standard is for the standard performance. It is not bad, but it is a low cost and backed by magnetic drives. And the premium is for premium performance, which backed by SSDs. It is for high performance and low latency. Premium storage only used by VM disks. This is the limitation. And it is suitable for database servers with high I/O applications. VM uses premium storage qualify for 99.9% of uptime connectivity SLA even when running as a single instance. Okay. And as I said, premium tier has few limitations as of now. It can only be used with VM disk. Only page blob can be created in premium storage, and it can only be used as LRS. That is replication type, locally redundant storage. All right, now let's try to understand access tiers. We have three types: hot, cool, and archive. Hot is for more frequently accessed data, cool is for less frequently accessed data, and archive is for blob level storage in general purpose V2 account only. All right, so let's talk about the replication. We have LRS, ZRS, GRS. GRS includes RAGRS and GZRS. It also has RAGZRS. Well, LRS is locally redundant storage. That means there are three copies inside a single physical data center. ZRS has three copies in three different data centers inside a zone. GRS is geo redundant storage, which has three copies locally and three copies in a different region. If you go for RA, it is more expensive than GRS, but in this scenario, you would have read-only access to your secondary copies in a different region. Similarly, in GZRS, we have three copies in different zone inside one region and three in a second region. For RA, you need to pay a little more, but you would have the read-only access to your secondary copies. So these are the attributes, and you need to choose these as per your requirement. And these all would come in a different account kind. As I said, if you need access tiers, you cannot choose general purpose V1. If you need ZRS or GRS, you cannot choose premium. Premium has the limitation. All right. There are like different combinations that you need to select as per your requirement. And do not forget the pricing. Pricing goes with the kind of attributes you choose here and in which region. Hope it makes sense to you all. Let's go to the next slide and understand storage account endpoints. Well, storage account provides a unique namespaces in Azure for your data. Each object that you store in Azure Storage has an address that includes your unique account name. This is the name of your storage account, and it's .blob, .core, .windows.net, which is common for all the blob. For table, instead of blob, we would have table.core, .windows.net, queue.core, .windows.net, and we have the storage account at the beginning. It also appears in the exam, this type of questions. I didn't find in the 300, but it was there in 103. It's a long time back. And we store our data inside the container. So you need to put your storage account name .blob, .core, .windows.net slash the name of your container slash the name of the object. And if you would have the access, it would be there. You can access it from anywhere publicly from this link. And these are the link for different kind of data stores. All right, so this is the storage account endpoint. This is the architecture of the link. Now I have captured the slides or I have captured the slides from my lab just to make it more presentable, and it would help you understand what all attributes of storage we just studied. All right, so you need to just click here, click on the storage account, new. This is the first window which appear. Here you need to select the resource group, or you can create new. You need to put the storage account name, which is always in lower cases. Location and the performance we talked about already. We have two kinds, standard and premium. And in standard, we have these kind of storage account: general purpose V2, V1, blob storage. If you select premium, we would have the storage accounts which supports premium only. All right, then we would have replication that we talked about, LRS, GRS, GRS, those, and access, which is hot and cold. In the next slide, I select the premium, and these are the storage account that is supported by premium. All right, but here we do not have the access tiers. If you see, I think, or we'll check it in the lab, or rather you check it in the lab. All right, if you select standard V2 LRS, we have the access tier, cool and hot. All right, and let's talk about the different storage account type and what all attributes or services that it can provide you, so that you can choose whatever you want. This is just an uh, understanding. For example, if you choose V2, you have the access of all the services which is provided by Azure storage account, and it is applicable to both standard and premium. It supports the access tier as well, and all the replications. There is a catch, not for the premium. All right, and you can encrypt this. So if you need a blob in premium, you can go for V2. You can choose. If you go for V1 and you need access tier which is not supported by V1, even blob storage, blob storage don't support the access tier. Only the blob storage and V2 supports the access tiers, right? And if you choose file storage as your account type and file only and premium, you have only these two kind. You cannot go for GRS. Same goes for blob storage, LRS and ZRS, and this is in preview as of now. It would be GA soon. So you can look for this structure. I'll also share the link of the MS Docs from where I borrowed this table. Now let's talk about the network access to the storage account. Well, your storage account is a PaaS service. You can access it publicly if you have the link, the storage endpoint that we talked about, but that doesn't look highly secure. So what people want, what an organization want, they want to secure it. They don't want anybody to access only their internal network, their private network to access, or certain IPs can access only. In that scenario, you need to configure network access to the storage account. And Azure Storage provides a layered security model. This is what it represents. And when network rules are configured, only applications requesting data over the specified set of network can access a storage account, as I said, private or certain IPs. You can limit access to your storage account to request originating from a specified IP address, IP ranges, or from a list of subnets in an Azure virtual network. All right, let's see how to configure it. I do have a snippet to show you. During the creation of storage account under networking, you can configure right here. You see public endpoint means all networks, selected networks, and private endpoints. Or if I go ahead, we'll discuss this slide later, but this one we need. Suppose you have already created a storage account and you want to configure network access later. We have firewalls and virtual networks under settings. You need to click here and selected networks. You can add your existing virtual network. You can create a new virtual network. You can add the IP ranges, the public IP ranges of your client. So it's asking for mine. So only these can access your storage account. No one can. No one else. The one who has the access. From here you can configure it. All right, now there's one more slide which is left. This one here under advanced, they are like things that you can enable and disable, and even this thing, the current combination of storage account, performance, replication, and location does not support large file shares. You see, whatever combination we choose here, it decides what all services you can access or you can't. For example, the particular scenario that I chose, the attributes I chose, it will not include Azure files. All right. Similarly, you can enable and disable other attributes like data lake storage, data protection. This is for soft delete so that you can retrieve if accidentally deleted the data, and your encryption. All right. Now this is a lab situation for you guys if you want to perform it, and I would insist, please do. That's the only way we can learn, performing in the lab. You need to create a storage account with different attributes like selecting GP2 or general purpose 1 or blob storage with standard or sometimes with premium, and different access tiers just to check what services you can use, what services you cannot. And then you need to allow only VNet to access storage. Create one virtual network in your subscription and try to give access to that VNet so that nobody can access from outside, only the machines inside those VNet. Or you can try with your public IPs, your only or someone else, your friends, just to perform this in the lab. Well, this is all about storage account and network access. I hope this is useful for you, and let's meet in another video. We'll be covering the other topics under this module. Thank you.